What if the reason success, opportunities, confidence, and happiness seem far away is not because they are avoiding you, but because you have been carrying beliefs, habits, and thoughts that push them away? Right now, there may be a part of you that feels stuck, overlooked, tired of trying, or frustrated that life is not moving in the direction you want. The good news is that change does not begin with luck. It begins with you. In the next 2 hours, you will discover how to transform the way you see yourself, release the hidden beliefs that limit your growth, build unshakable confidence through daily action, and develop habits that naturally attract better results. These are not empty promises or feel-good ideas. They are practical principles you can apply immediately. Stay until the end, because one insight may completely change the way you think about your future and help you become the person that opportunities, success, and abundance can no longer ignore. Chapter 1. Transform your self-image to attract better outcomes. Most people spend years trying to attract better opportunities, stronger relationships, greater success, and more happiness, without realizing that the foundation of all these things begins with one invisible factor: the image they hold of themselves. A person can have talent and still struggle. A person can have intelligence and still remain stuck. A person can work hard and still feel overlooked. The reason is often not a lack of ability. It is a self-image that silently limits what they believe they deserve, what they think is possible, and how they show up in the world. The way you see yourself influences every decision you make. It affects the opportunities you pursue, the boundaries you set, the goals you attempt, and the way you respond to challenges. Long before the world responds to you, your mind responds to the story you tell yourself about who you are. Many people wake up every morning carrying a hidden identity they never consciously chose. They may see themselves as unlucky because of past failures. They may see themselves as unworthy because of past rejection. They may see themselves as incapable because someone once told them they were not good enough. Over time, these experiences become labels. The danger is not what happened in the past. The danger is continuing to carry those labels into the future. A person who believes they are not valuable often accepts less than they deserve. A person who believes they are not capable avoids challenges that could change their life. A person who believes they are destined to fail often quits before success has a chance to appear. This is why transforming your self-image is not an optional part of growth. It is the starting point. Everything changes when the picture in your mind changes. Think about how two people can face the exact same situation and respond completely differently. One person sees an obstacle and immediately feels defeated. The other sees the same obstacle and feels challenged to grow. The difference is not the obstacle. The difference is identity. One person sees themselves as weak. The other sees themselves as capable. One person expects failure. The other expects progress. One person focuses on limitations. The other focuses on possibilities. Your self-image acts like a filter through which you experience life. If that filter is damaged, every opportunity appears smaller than it really is. If that filter is healthy, even difficult circumstances become opportunities for growth. This transformation begins with awareness. Spend a few moments honestly examining how you currently see yourself. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. Notice what happens when you make a mistake. Notice what happens when you face uncertainty. Notice what happens when you think about your future. Do you encourage yourself or criticize yourself? Do you believe you can grow, or do you assume your limitations are permanent? Do you see challenges as opportunities or threats? Many people are shocked when they become aware of how harshly they speak to themselves. They would never speak to a friend the way they speak to themselves. They forgive others more quickly than they forgive themselves. They offer understanding to others while offering judgment to themselves. This habit slowly damages self-image over time. Every negative statement repeated often enough begins to feel like truth. The mind accepts what it hears repeatedly. If every day you tell yourself that you are behind, not good enough, incapable, or unlucky, your actions eventually begin to reflect those beliefs. The good news is that the opposite is also true. Positive change begins when you consciously choose new beliefs that support your growth. This does not mean pretending problems do not exist. It means refusing to define yourself by those problems. Failure is an event. It is not an identity. Rejection is an experience. It is not an identity. Difficulty is a season. It is not an identity. One of the most powerful exercises you can practice is separating who you are from what you have experienced. Instead of saying, "I am a failure," remind yourself, "I experienced failure and learned from it." Instead of saying, "I am weak," remind yourself, "I am becoming stronger through practice." Instead of saying, "I am not confident," remind yourself, "I am developing confidence every day." This small shift changes everything. It moves your focus from permanent limitation to ongoing growth. The ancient Stoics understood this principle deeply. They believed that circumstances do not determine character. Choices determine character. A difficult past does not control your future. Your response to that past shapes your future. Every day provides another opportunity to become someone stronger, wiser, and more disciplined. Your identity is not fixed. It is built through repeated actions. This leads to another important truth. Self-image does not improve through positive thinking alone. It improves through evidence. You build confidence by keeping promises to yourself. You build trust in yourself by taking action. You strengthen your identity through consistent behavior. Many people wait until they feel confident before they act. This approach keeps them trapped. Action comes first. Confidence follows. Every small promise you keep sends a powerful message to your mind. When you say you will wake up early and you do it, you strengthen your self-image. When you commit to exercise and follow through, you strengthen your self-image. When you decide to learn a new skill and practice consistently, you strengthen your self-image. Your mind begins collecting proof. It starts seeing you as someone who follows through. It starts seeing you as someone who can be trusted. It starts seeing you as someone capable of growth. This is how identity changes. Not through grand announcements, not through temporary motivation, through daily actions repeated over time. Imagine a person who has spent years believing they are undisciplined. One morning they choose a simple habit. Perhaps they read 10 pages every day. At first the habit seems small. After 1 week they have proof. After 1 month they have more proof. After 6 months they begin seeing themselves differently. They no longer say, "I am undisciplined." They begin saying, "I am someone who follows through." A new self-image emerges. The world starts responding differently because they are showing up differently. Another powerful way to transform self-image is by changing what you consume. The mind is constantly absorbing information. The conversations you engage in matter. The content you watch matters. The people around you matter. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, criticism, excuses, and hopelessness, those influences slowly shape your identity. If you surround yourself with growth, learning, discipline, and encouragement, those influences strengthen your belief in what is possible. Protect your mind carefully. Not every voice deserves access to your thinking. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every criticism deserves your energy. The strongest people are selective about what they allow into their minds. They understand that thoughts become beliefs and beliefs become actions. Another important practice is learning to speak about yourself differently. Words create direction. Many people unknowingly reinforce weakness through careless language. They constantly say things like, "I can never do that. I am terrible at this. I always fail. Nothing works for me." These statements become instructions for the mind. The mind listens. The mind adapts. The mind begins creating evidence that supports those beliefs. Choose stronger language. Instead of saying, "I can never do this," say, "I am learning how to do this." Instead of saying, "I always fail," say, "I am improving with every attempt." Instead of saying, "Nothing works for me," say, "I am discovering what works." These changes may seem simple, but repeated consistently, they transform identity from the inside out. Self-image also improves when you stop comparing your journey to others. Comparison destroys progress because it shifts attention away from growth and toward insecurity. There will always be someone ahead of you. There will always be someone who appears more successful. There will always be someone who learns faster. This is not a problem. Your responsibility is not to become someone else. Your responsibility is to become the strongest version of yourself. Focus on your own progress. Measure yourself against who you were yesterday. Celebrate improvement. Respect your pace. Trust the process. A person who improves 1% each day eventually becomes unrecognizable compared to who they once were. Transformation rarely happens overnight. It happens through consistent effort. Another important step is learning to treat yourself with respect. Many people wait for others to respect them before they respect themselves. This approach rarely works. Respect begins internally. It appears in the way you speak. It appears in the way you care for your body. It appears in the standards you maintain. It appears in the boundaries you enforce. When you respect yourself, you stop accepting treatment that damages your peace. You stop settling for less than your potential. You stop abandoning your goals whenever challenges appear. Self-respect strengthens self-image because it confirms your value through action. One practical exercise is creating a daily identity statement. Keep it simple. Write down the qualities you want to develop. Perhaps you want to become disciplined. Perhaps you want to become calm. Perhaps you want to become confident. Perhaps you want to become resilient. Read those statements every morning. Repeat them with conviction. Then spend the day acting in alignment with them. Do not merely wish to become disciplined. Practice discipline. Do not merely wish to become confident. Practice confidence. Do not merely wish to become resilient. Practice resilience. Identity grows strongest when thoughts and actions work together. Many people underestimate the power of small daily victories. They believe only major achievements matter. This belief is false. Small victories create momentum. Making your bed creates momentum. Completing a workout creates momentum. Finishing a task creates momentum. Keeping a promise creates momentum. Every victory sends a message. It says, I am capable. It says I am growing. It says I am becoming stronger. Over time, these messages reshape self-image in profound ways. The person who once doubted themselves begins trusting themselves. The person who once felt powerless begins feeling capable. The person who once felt invisible begins recognizing their own value. This transformation changes how others respond as well. People are naturally drawn toward individuals who carry quiet confidence, not arrogance, not ego. Confidence. Confidence built through self-respect. Confidence built through discipline. Confidence built through consistent action. Opportunities often follow people who believe they can handle responsibility. Relationships improve when people value themselves. Success grows when people trust themselves enough to take action. What appears to be attraction from the outside often begins as transformation on the inside. The world starts reflecting the image you hold of yourself. If you see yourself as valuable, you act differently. If you see yourself as capable, you take different actions. If you see yourself as resilient, you respond differently to setbacks. The results eventually follow. Remember this truth every day. You do not need permission to see yourself differently. You do not need approval to begin growing. You do not need a perfect past to create a powerful future. The moment you decide to transform your self-image, a new chapter begins. Every positive action strengthens it. Every promise kept reinforces it. Every challenge overcome confirms it. The person you become tomorrow is shaped by the image you choose to believe today. Choose an image that supports growth. Choose an image that supports strength. Choose an image that supports discipline. Choose an image that supports possibility. Then prove it to yourself through action every single day. As that image becomes stronger, your choices become stronger. As your choices become stronger, your results become stronger. As your results become stronger, your life begins to change. And when your life begins to change, it often feels as though opportunities are chasing you. In reality, you simply became the person who was ready to receive them. Chapter 2. Release limiting beliefs that block success and happiness. There is a quiet force that shapes every decision you make, every opportunity you pursue, and every result you create. Most people never see it clearly because it operates beneath the surface of daily life. It influences how high they aim, how much effort they give, how they respond to setbacks, and what they believe they deserve. This force is made up of beliefs. Beliefs are powerful because they often feel like facts. They become so familiar that people stop questioning them. They accept them as reality even when those beliefs are limiting their growth. A person may believe success is reserved for other people. Another may believe happiness never lasts. Someone else may believe they are too old, too inexperienced, too unlucky, or too damaged by the past to create a better future. These beliefs may not be true, but if they are accepted without examination, they shape behavior as if they were true. Many people spend years trying to change their circumstances while leaving their beliefs untouched. They focus on external solutions while the internal barriers remain firmly in place. They work harder, search for better opportunities, and gather more information, yet they continue producing similar results because their deepest assumptions about themselves and life have not changed. Imagine trying to drive forward while keeping one foot on the brake. No matter how powerful the vehicle is, progress becomes difficult. Limiting beliefs act in much the same way. They create resistance that slows growth and weakens effort. The first step toward freedom is recognizing that not every thought deserves your trust. Many individuals automatically believe everything that appears in their minds. If a negative thought arrives, they accept it. If doubt appears, they obey it. If fear speaks, they treat it as wisdom. This habit creates unnecessary suffering. A thought is not automatically true simply because it enters your mind. The mind constantly generates ideas, predictions, concerns, and interpretations. Some are helpful, others are inaccurate. Learning to question destructive thinking is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. When a limiting belief appears, pause and examine it. Ask yourself where it came from. Many beliefs were formed years ago during moments of disappointment, embarrassment, criticism, or failure. A single negative experience can sometimes create a conclusion that lasts for decades. A child struggles in school and begins believing they are unintelligent. A young adult experiences rejection and begins believing they are unworthy. Someone experiences financial hardship and starts believing abundance is impossible. These conclusions often survive long after the original event has passed. The problem is not the experience itself. The problem is the meaning attached to it. One setback does not define your potential. One mistake does not define your intelligence. One disappointment does not define your future. The strongest individuals learn to separate temporary events from permanent identity. They understand that life contains challenges, but they refuse to turn those challenges into lifelong labels. Many limiting beliefs remain hidden because they disguise themselves as practical thinking. People often say things like, "I am just being realistic," yet realism is frequently confused with pessimism. There is a difference between acknowledging difficulty and assuming defeat. A realistic person understands obstacles exist while remaining open to solutions. A limiting belief focuses only on barriers and ignores possibilities. Growth begins when you become willing to challenge old assumptions. This process requires honesty. It requires courage. It requires the willingness to admit that some of your current beliefs may be inaccurate. Consider how many achievements throughout history were accomplished by people who refused to accept the limitations others placed upon them. Every major breakthrough began with someone questioning what seemed impossible. The same principle applies on a personal level. Your future changes when you stop treating old beliefs as permanent truths. One practical exercise involves identifying recurring negative statements that appear in your thinking. Write them down. Do not judge them. Simply observe them. Perhaps you frequently think that you are not capable enough. Perhaps you believe success always belongs to others. Perhaps you feel happiness is difficult to maintain. Perhaps you assume failure is inevitable whenever you attempt something important. Once these beliefs are visible, examine the evidence supporting them. Many people discover that their beliefs are built on weak foundations. They may be relying on a handful of experiences while ignoring years of growth, learning, and progress. The human mind often pays more attention to negative events than positive ones. This tendency can distort reality. A person may experience 10 successes and 1 failure, yet spend most of their energy thinking about the failure. Over time, this creates a misleading story about who they are. Correcting that story requires balance. Start collecting evidence of strength. Record moments when you solved problems. Remember times when you adapted to change. Notice situations where you demonstrated courage. Acknowledge progress that might otherwise be overlooked. Success leaves clues. Growth leaves evidence. The more attention you give to these examples, the easier it becomes to develop healthier beliefs. Another powerful practice involves changing the questions you ask yourself. Many people unknowingly ask questions that reinforce limitation. Why does this always happen to me? Why am I not good enough? Why do others succeed more easily? Questions like these encourage the mind to search for negative answers. The brain responds by producing evidence that supports the assumption behind the question. A more constructive approach involves asking empowering questions. What can I learn from this situation? How can I improve? What strengths can I develop? What opportunities might exist here? These questions direct attention toward growth rather than helplessness. The quality of your questions often determines the quality of your thinking. Personal transformation also requires patience. Some beliefs have been repeated for years. They will not disappear overnight. Many people become discouraged because they expect immediate change. When old doubts reappear, they assume they have failed. This is not how growth works. The appearance of an old belief does not mean it still controls you. Progress occurs each time you choose not to accept it. Every moment of awareness weakens its influence. Every conscious choice strengthens a new perspective. Think of belief change as a process of mental training. Just as physical strength develops through repeated effort, mental freedom develops through repeated practice. Each time you replace a limiting assumption with a more empowering interpretation, you strengthen a healthier pattern. Consistency matters more than perfection. The goal is not to eliminate every negative thought. The goal is to stop allowing negative thoughts to govern your actions. Many successful people continue experiencing doubt. The difference is that they act despite it. They refuse to grant doubt authority over their decisions. They understand that confidence often emerges after action, not before it. One reason limiting beliefs are so dangerous is because they encourage avoidance. When people believe they cannot succeed, they stop trying. When they believe rejection will destroy them, they avoid opportunities. When they believe failure defines them, they refuse to take risks. Avoidance provides temporary comfort, but creates long-term frustration. Growth requires engagement with life. It requires participation. It requires the willingness to move forward even when certainty is unavailable. Every meaningful achievement contains some degree of uncertainty. Waiting for complete confidence often leads to endless delay. Instead, develop trust in your ability to adapt. Trust your capacity to learn. Trust your ability to recover from setbacks. Trust your resilience. Human beings are far more adaptable than they often realize. History is filled with examples of individuals overcoming extraordinary difficulties. Ordinary people have rebuilt their lives after loss. They have learned new skills later in life. They have recovered from failure. They have transformed painful experiences into sources of wisdom. The same potential exists within you. The challenge is not discovering whether potential exists. The challenge is believing it exists strongly enough to act upon it. Another important truth is that your environment influences your beliefs. The people you spend time with matter. The conversations you participate in matter. The information you consume matters. Surrounding yourself with constant negativity makes it difficult to maintain a hopeful perspective. Protecting your mindset is not selfish. It is necessary. Choose influences that encourage growth, responsibility, learning, and possibility. Spend time with people who challenge you to become better. Read material that expands your thinking. Engage with ideas that strengthen your understanding of what is possible. The mind gradually reflects what it repeatedly encounters. One of the greatest acts of self-respect is refusing to remain loyal to beliefs that diminish your potential. Some beliefs may have protected you at one point in life. They may have helped you avoid disappointment or cope with uncertainty. But if those beliefs are now preventing growth, they must be released. Holding on to them simply because they are familiar serves no useful purpose. You are allowed to change your perspective. You are allowed to outgrow old assumptions. You are allowed to become someone different from who you were years ago. Growth demands that you leave outdated thinking behind. As you continue this journey, remember that happiness and success are not reserved for a fortunate few. They are often the result of consistent choices, constructive thinking, disciplined action, and resilient persistence. Limiting beliefs convince people that change is impossible. Reality repeatedly proves otherwise. Lives improve, skills develop. Circumstances evolve, new opportunities emerge, people transform, the future remains unwritten. No matter what has happened before, tomorrow does not have to mirror yesterday. The beliefs you choose to nurture today will influence the direction of your life tomorrow. Choose beliefs that encourage responsibility instead of excuses. Choose beliefs that support effort instead of surrender. Choose beliefs that create possibility instead of limitation. Choose beliefs that remind you of your capacity to learn, adapt, and grow. The moment you stop accepting limiting beliefs as permanent truths, new possibilities begin to appear. You start noticing opportunities that once seemed invisible. You begin taking actions that previously felt intimidating. You become more willing to trust yourself. You move through life with greater purpose and less hesitation. And as those changes accumulate day after day, you discover something powerful. The barriers that once seemed immovable were often built from assumptions rather than reality. When those assumptions lose their power, your path forward becomes clearer. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you are no longer carrying unnecessary mental weight. Freedom begins when you release the beliefs that were never meant to define you. From that moment forward, growth becomes not only possible but inevitable for the person who continues moving forward with courage, awareness, and determination. Chapter 3. Choose empowering thoughts that shape your daily reality. Every day begins with a choice that most people never realize they are making. Before any action is taken, before any goal is pursued, before any conversation takes place, the mind begins creating a story about what the day will mean. Some people wake up expecting frustration. Others wake up expecting progress. Some anticipate obstacles. Others anticipate opportunities to learn. The events of the day may not be entirely within their control, but the lens through which they experience those events often is. Thoughts are powerful because they influence attention. Whatever consistently occupies your mind eventually shapes what you notice, what you pursue, and how you interpret reality. Two people can walk through the same day and come away with completely different experiences because they focused on different things. One person notices every inconvenience and ends the day convinced life is unfair. Another notices lessons, opportunities, and moments of growth and ends the day feeling grateful and motivated. The circumstances may have been nearly identical, but their thoughts created different emotional experiences. This does not mean positive thinking magically eliminates difficulty. Life remains unpredictable, challenges still arise, disappointments still occur, mistakes still happen. However, empowering thoughts provide strength, clarity, and direction when difficulties appear. They help you respond wisely rather than react emotionally. Many people underestimate how much influence their thinking has on daily life. They assume thoughts simply happen to them. They believe they are passive observers of their mental world. In reality, the quality of your thinking can be shaped through awareness and deliberate practice. The first step is understanding that your mind is constantly producing mental commentary. From the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep, there is an ongoing stream of interpretation occurring inside you. The challenge is that much of this process happens automatically. Without awareness, old patterns continue running in the background. A person facing a challenge might instantly think, "This is going to be difficult." Another person facing the same challenge might think, "This is an opportunity to improve." Neither statement changes the challenge itself, but each statement creates a different emotional response and level of motivation. One thought creates hesitation. The other creates engagement. The quality of your life is heavily influenced by which thoughts receive your attention. Empowering thoughts are not unrealistic fantasies. They are perspectives that encourage growth, responsibility, resilience, and purposeful action. Instead of focusing on what cannot be controlled, they focus on what can. Instead of dwelling on limitations, they seek possibilities. Instead of reinforcing weakness, they encourage development. One of the most practical habits you can build is learning to monitor the conversations happening within your own mind. Pay attention to how you respond when something unexpected occurs. Notice your immediate interpretations. Observe the assumptions you make. When plans change, do you immediately expect the worst? When a mistake happens, do you attack yourself mentally? When progress is slow, Do you assume failure is coming? These patterns reveal important information. They show where your thinking may be working against you. Many people spend years strengthening negative thought patterns without realizing it. Every time a person repeatedly focuses on defeat, criticism, fear, or hopelessness, those pathways become more familiar. Eventually, those thoughts begin appearing automatically. The encouraging news is that new patterns can also be developed. Just as repeated practice strengthens a physical skill, repeated constructive thinking strengthens mental habits. One useful exercise involves replacing unhelpful interpretations with more empowering alternatives. Suppose you encounter a setback at work. An unhelpful thought might be, "I am not capable enough." An empowering thought might be, "This situation shows me what I need to improve." Both statements acknowledge the challenge. Only one encourages growth. Suppose you experience rejection. A discouraging interpretation might be, "I will never succeed." A stronger interpretation could be, "This experience provides feedback and preparation for future opportunities." Again, the event remains the same. The meaning changes. Meaning influences emotion. Emotion influences action. Action influences results. This chain reaction begins with thought. The Stoics understood that people often suffer more from their interpretations than from reality itself. They believed that while external events may be beyond control, personal judgment remains within control. This principle remains valuable today. You cannot control every circumstance. You cannot control other people's opinions. You cannot control unexpected challenges. You can influence how you think about those experiences. That ability creates freedom. Consider how often people mentally rehearse negative outcomes before anything has actually happened. They imagine failure before attempting something new. They predict rejection before speaking up. They assume disappointment before giving themselves a chance. These mental habits consume energy that could be directed toward action. Empowering thoughts redirect that energy. They encourage preparation rather than worry. They encourage effort rather than avoidance. They encourage persistence rather than surrender. Another important practice is becoming intentional about what occupies your attention throughout the day. The mind often grows in the direction of its focus. If your attention constantly centers on problems, frustrations, and fears, your emotional state will likely reflect that focus. If your attention regularly includes growth, learning, gratitude, and possibility, your emotional state will gradually shift in a healthier direction. This does not require ignoring problems. It requires refusing to make problems the center of your identity. A challenge can be acknowledged without becoming the main story of your life. A setback can be addressed without defining your future. An obstacle can be faced without surrendering hope. Empowering thoughts help maintain perspective. They remind you that today's difficulties are only one part of a much larger journey. They encourage patience during slow periods. They encourage discipline when motivation fluctuates. They encourage courage when uncertainty appears. Many people wait until they feel inspired before choosing better thoughts. This approach creates unnecessary struggle. Empowering thinking is not dependent on mood. It is a skill that can be practiced regardless of circumstances. Some days it feels natural. Other days it requires effort. The value remains the same. Choosing constructive thoughts during difficult moments often produces the greatest benefits because those are the moments when direction matters most. A practical strategy involves starting each morning with intentional mental preparation. Before immediately checking messages, news, or social media, spend a few moments deciding how you want to approach the day. Ask yourself questions that encourage productive thinking. What is one meaningful action I can take today? What challenge can help me grow? How can I contribute positively to someone else's life? What attitude will help me navigate today's responsibilities? Questions like these create focus. They direct attention toward purpose instead of distraction. They encourage engagement instead of passivity. Another powerful habit involves celebrating progress. Many people train their minds to notice only what remains unfinished. They complete 10 tasks and focus exclusively on the one task left undone. They improve significantly and focus only on the distance remaining. This pattern creates chronic dissatisfaction. Growth becomes more sustainable when progress receives acknowledgement. Recognizing improvement does not create complacency. It creates momentum. When you notice evidence of development, you reinforce productive behavior. You remind yourself that effort matters. You strengthen motivation to continue moving forward. Empowering thoughts also influence relationships. People tend to communicate differently when they believe positive outcomes are possible. They listen more carefully. They approach disagreements more calmly. They become more patient and understanding. Constructive thinking improves not only how you treat yourself, but also how you interact with others. One overlooked aspect of mental growth involves protecting your attention from unnecessary negativity. The modern world offers endless opportunities for distraction, outrage, comparison, and fear. Without boundaries, these influences can dominate your thinking. Be selective about what enters your mind. Choose information that educates rather than merely alarms. Choose conversations that encourage growth rather than constant complaint. Choose environments that support your values. Your mental environment affects your daily reality more than many people realize. The strongest minds are not necessarily those that never encounter negativity. They are the minds that know how to respond to negativity without becoming consumed by it. They remain focused on what matters. They remain committed to their principles. They remain grounded in purpose. Another valuable perspective is remembering that every thought is an invitation, not a command. Just because a thought appears does not mean it deserves obedience. Fear may suggest retreat. Doubt may suggest quitting. Frustration may suggest giving up. You always retain the ability to choose your response. This awareness creates enormous personal power. It reminds you that thoughts influence behavior, but do not control behavior. You remain responsible for your choices. You remain capable of acting according to your values even when your emotions fluctuate. This understanding builds resilience. It allows you to maintain direction even during difficult seasons. As empowering thoughts become more consistent, something remarkable begins to happen. Challenges still exist, but they no longer appear overwhelming. Uncertainty remains present, but it no longer creates paralysis. Mistakes still occur, but they become opportunities for learning rather than reasons for self-criticism. The quality of daily life improves because your relationship with reality improves. You begin approaching situations with greater confidence and steadiness. You become less reactive and more intentional. You spend less energy fighting circumstances and more energy creating solutions. This shift does not happen through a single breakthrough moment. It develops through repeated choices, one constructive thought at a time, one empowering interpretation at a time, one intentional response at a time. Day after day, these choices accumulate. They influence your habits. They shape your character. They guide your decisions. They gradually create a different experience of life. Your daily reality is not formed solely by external conditions. It is also influenced by the thoughts you repeatedly choose to nurture. Choose thoughts that strengthen courage. Choose thoughts that encourage responsibility. Choose thoughts that support growth. Choose thoughts that inspire meaningful action. The direction of your life is often determined by the direction of your attention. When your thinking becomes stronger, your actions become stronger. When your actions become stronger, your results begin to reflect that strength. And as that process continues, you discover that changing your thoughts is not about escaping reality. It is about learning how to meet reality with wisdom, purpose, and the confidence to keep moving forward no matter what challenges appear along the way. Chapter 4. Strengthen your confidence through consistent positive actions. Confidence is often misunderstood. Many people think it is something a person is born with. They believe certain individuals naturally possess it, while others spend their lives struggling to find it. This belief creates unnecessary frustration because it places confidence outside of personal control. In reality, confidence is not a gift given to a select few. It is a result. It is built, strengthened, and reinforced through consistent positive actions. A person does not become confident by waiting for confidence to arrive. Confidence develops when a person repeatedly proves to themselves that they can act despite uncertainty. It grows when promises are kept, responsibilities are honored, and challenges are faced instead of avoided. Think about a time when you learned a new skill. At the beginning, there was probably uncertainty. You may have felt awkward, inexperienced, or unsure of your ability. Yet with practice, repetition, and effort, your comfort increased. What once felt difficult gradually became familiar. The same process applies to confidence. Confidence is rarely present at the start. It appears as a result of engagement. Many people delay action because they believe they need confidence first. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until fear disappears. They wait until every doubt is gone. Unfortunately, that moment often never arrives. The truth is much simpler. Action creates confidence. Avoidance weakens it. Every time you avoid something important because of fear, you unintentionally teach yourself that the fear was stronger than you. Every time you take a meaningful step despite discomfort, you teach yourself that you are stronger than the fear. This lesson becomes deeply important because life continuously presents situations that require courage, new opportunities, important conversations, personal goals, career growth, and meaningful relationships all involve some degree of uncertainty. A person who waits for perfect confidence may remain stuck for years. A person who learns to move forward while feeling uncertain continues growing. One of the greatest sources of confidence comes from developing self-trust. Self-trust is the belief that you can rely on yourself. It means knowing that when you commit to something, you will make a sincere effort to follow through. It means believing that you can handle challenges without immediately giving up. It means understanding that even if things do not go according to plan, you will find a way to adapt. Many people want greater confidence while unintentionally damaging self-trust through small daily habits. They set goals and abandon them. They make commitments and ignore them. They create plans and never act on them. Each broken promise sends a subtle message to the mind. That message says, "My words do not matter." Over time, this weakens confidence because confidence depends on trust. Imagine two people. One consistently follows through on commitments. The other frequently quits whenever motivation fades. Which person is more likely to feel confident when facing a challenge? The answer is obvious. The person with a history of keeping promises has evidence supporting their belief in themselves. Confidence grows from evidence. This is why small actions matter more than many people realize. Large achievements receive attention, but daily behavior builds identity. Waking up when you plan to wake up matters. Completing important tasks matters. Maintaining healthy routines matters. Following through on responsibilities matters. These actions may seem ordinary, but they create something extraordinary over time. They create self-respect. Self-respect and confidence are closely connected. People often search for confidence externally. They seek approval, praise, recognition, or validation from others. While encouragement can feel good, lasting confidence cannot depend entirely on outside opinions. External approval is unpredictable. Some people will support you, others may criticize you, some may understand your goals, others may not. If confidence depends on the reactions of others, it becomes unstable. True confidence develops when your opinion of yourself is based on your character and actions rather than public approval. This perspective creates emotional freedom. You become less distracted by criticism. You become less dependent on praise. You become more focused on living according to your values. One practical way to strengthen confidence is to create daily opportunities for success. Many people attempt dramatic changes that are difficult to sustain. They set unrealistic expectations and become discouraged when those expectations are not met. A more effective approach involves creating manageable commitments. Choose actions that challenge you without overwhelming you. Read for 20 minutes, exercise regularly, learn a new skill, practice a useful habit, complete important tasks before entertainment. These consistent victories accumulate. They provide proof that growth is happening. They reinforce the belief that progress is possible. Another important aspect of confidence involves learning how to respond to mistakes. Many individuals assume confidence means never failing. This belief creates unnecessary pressure. Every successful person has experienced mistakes, setbacks, and disappointments. The difference lies in interpretation. Some people view mistakes as evidence of inadequacy. Others view mistakes as information. One response leads to discouragement. The other leads to improvement. A person committed to growth understands that errors are part of learning. Instead of asking, "Why am I not good enough?" they ask, "What can this experience teach me?" This shift changes everything. It transforms failure from a source of shame into a source of education. The fear of failure loses much of its power when failure is viewed as feedback. Confidence becomes easier to maintain because mistakes no longer threaten identity. Another valuable practice involves developing competence. Confidence becomes stronger when supported by skill. The more capable you become in important areas of life, the more confidence naturally follows. If you want greater confidence in communication, practice speaking. If you want greater confidence in your career, continue learning. If you want greater confidence in relationships, improve your listening and emotional awareness. Growth requires effort, but competence provides a solid foundation. Many people underestimate how much confidence can be built through learning. Every new skill expands possibilities. Every improvement creates additional options. Every step forward increases personal capability. Confidence thrives when capability expands. Patience also plays an important role. Modern culture often celebrates rapid success, but meaningful confidence develops gradually. A tree does not become strong overnight. Strength develops through seasons of growth. Human development follows a similar pattern. The strongest confidence is rarely loud. It is steady. It remains present even during uncertainty. It does not require constant attention from others. It is built through experience. It is earned through persistence. It is strengthened through discipline. One challenge many people face is comparing themselves to others. Comparison creates unnecessary pressure because it shifts focus away from personal progress. There will always be people with more experience. There will always be people with different strengths. There will always be individuals who appear further ahead. Using others as a measure of self-worth often damages confidence. A healthier approach involves measuring growth against your own previous performance. Focus on becoming stronger than you were last month. Focus on becoming wiser than you were last year. Focus on improving your habits, mindset, and character. Personal growth becomes far more rewarding when attention remains centered on your own journey. Confidence also grows when you face discomfort intentionally. Comfort zones provide familiarity, but growth occurs beyond familiar territory. Every time you try something new, speak up when it matters, take responsibility or pursue an important goal, you expand your capacity. At first, discomfort may feel intense. Over time, what once seemed intimidating becomes normal. This process gradually increases confidence because it demonstrates adaptability. You begin realizing that discomfort is not danger. It is often evidence that growth is taking place. Another powerful source of confidence comes from integrity. Integrity means aligning actions with values. It means doing what is right even when nobody is watching. It means remaining honest with yourself and others. People with integrity often possess a quiet confidence because they are not carrying the burden of pretending to be someone they are not. Their actions match their principles. Their behavior reflects their beliefs. This consistency creates inner stability. Confidence becomes stronger when there is no conflict between values and actions. A meaningful life requires courage, and courage grows through use. Every difficult conversation handled responsibly builds confidence. Every challenge approached with determination builds confidence. Every obstacle faced with patience builds confidence. Every commitment honored builds confidence. These moments may seem small individually, but together they shape character. Character influences destiny. The strongest confidence is not based on perfection. It is based on reliability. It comes from knowing that regardless of what happens, you will continue showing up, learning, adapting, and moving forward. Life will not always unfold according to your plans. Unexpected events will occur. Difficult seasons will arrive. Goals may take longer than expected. Yet confidence remains possible because confidence is not built upon certainty. It is built upon trust in your ability to respond. As you continue strengthening positive actions, a powerful transformation occurs. You begin relying less on motivation and more on discipline. You begin relying less on hope and more on preparation. You begin relying less on wishes and more on effort. This shift creates lasting change. You stop seeing yourself as someone waiting for confidence. You begin seeing yourself as someone actively building it. Day after day, Action after action, choice after choice, you create evidence. That evidence becomes belief. That belief becomes confidence. That confidence influences decisions. Those decisions shape your future. Eventually, you reach a point where challenges no longer appear as threats to avoid. They become opportunities to demonstrate who you have become. Not because fear has disappeared completely, not because uncertainty no longer exists, but because your history of positive actions has taught you an important truth. You are capable of more than you once believed. You can handle more than you once imagined. You can grow beyond previous limitations. And every positive action you take today strengthens the confidence you will carry tomorrow. Chapter 5. Embrace self-love to raise your personal value. One of the greatest misunderstandings in personal growth is the belief that self-love is selfish. Many people hear the phrase and immediately think of arrogance, self-importance, or putting themselves above others. As a result, they spend years giving kindness, patience, understanding, and compassion to everyone around them while denying those same qualities to themselves. The consequence of this habit is often invisible at first. A person continues working hard. They continue helping others. They continue meeting responsibilities. Yet beneath the surface, something important begins to weaken. They start measuring their worth through achievements alone. They depend on external approval to feel valuable. They become overly critical of their mistakes. They ignore their own needs until exhaustion appears. Over time, they forget an essential truth. Their value does not come from what they produce. Their value does not come from how much praise they receive. Their value does not come from constantly proving themselves. Their value exists because they are human beings deserving of respect, care, and dignity. Self-love begins when a person accepts this truth. It begins when they stop treating themselves like an enemy and start treating themselves like someone worth supporting. Many people spend years fighting against themselves. Their inner voice becomes a constant source of criticism. When something goes wrong, they immediately focus on flaws. When progress is slow, they become impatient. When mistakes happen, they respond with harsh judgment. Imagine carrying such a voice every day. Imagine waking up each morning and hearing criticism before you have even started the day. Imagine facing challenges while simultaneously battling your own thoughts. This internal conflict drains energy that could be used for growth. A person cannot thrive while constantly attacking themselves. Lasting improvement requires support from within. This does not mean ignoring weaknesses. It means addressing weaknesses with wisdom rather than punishment. Consider how an effective teacher helps a student improve. The teacher identifies mistakes but also provides guidance. The teacher encourages effort. The teacher recognizes progress. The teacher understands that learning takes time. Self-love works in a similar way. It allows you to acknowledge imperfections without turning them into reasons for self-rejection. One important step toward self-love is learning to separate worth from performance. Many people unconsciously believe they are valuable only when they succeed. When things go well, they feel confident. When results decline, their self-worth collapses. This creates emotional instability because life naturally contains both victories and setbacks. A healthier perspective recognizes that achievements and personal value are not the same thing. You can experience failure and still possess worth. You can make mistakes and still deserve respect. You can face challenges and still be enough. This understanding creates a stronger foundation for growth because it allows learning without constant fear of inadequacy. Self-love also requires honesty. Many people confuse self-love with endless comfort. They believe loving themselves means avoiding difficulty. The opposite is often true. Sometimes self-love requires discipline. Sometimes it requires accountability. Sometimes it requires making choices that are uncomfortable in the present but beneficial in the future. A parent who truly cares for a child does not allow every impulse to dictate behavior. In the same way, genuine self-love involves making decisions that support long-term well-being. Choosing healthy habits is an act of self-love. Managing finances responsibly is an act of self-love. Setting meaningful goals is an act of self-love. Protecting your mental health is an act of self-love. Creating boundaries with harmful influences is an act of self-love. Love is not merely a feeling, it is a pattern of behavior. It is demonstrated through actions. One reason many people struggle with self-love is because they spend too much time comparing themselves to others. Comparison creates a distorted view of reality. People often compare their weaknesses to someone else's strengths. They compare their beginning to another person's years of experience. They compare private struggles to public success. This habit makes appreciation difficult because attention remains focused on what seems missing. Personal value cannot grow in an environment dominated by comparison. The more energy spent measuring yourself against others, the less energy remains for your own development. Every individual follows a unique path. Different experiences create different timelines. Different circumstances create different challenges. Growth becomes easier when attention shifts away from competition and toward personal progress. Another essential aspect of self-love involves forgiveness. Many people carry years of regret. They replay old mistakes repeatedly. They relive embarrassing moments. They continue punishing themselves for decisions made long ago. This emotional burden prevents forward movement. Forgiveness does not mean pretending mistakes never happened. It means accepting that the past cannot be changed and choosing to learn rather than remain trapped. Every person has made choices they would handle differently today. That realization is not proof of failure. It is proof of growth. Wisdom often emerges through experience. The lessons learned from past difficulties can become valuable guides for the future. Self-love allows those lessons to remain while releasing unnecessary self-condemnation. Another powerful practice involves recognizing personal strengths. Many people can easily identify their flaws but struggle to acknowledge positive qualities. Ask yourself what strengths have helped you survive difficult seasons. Perhaps you are persistent. Perhaps you are compassionate. Perhaps you are adaptable. Perhaps you are responsible. Perhaps you are willing to learn. These qualities deserve recognition. Ignoring strengths does not create humility. It creates imbalance. A realistic self-image includes both areas for improvement and areas of strength. Confidence grows when strengths are acknowledged and developed. Self-love also influences the standards you accept in relationships. People who fail to value themselves often tolerate treatment that damages their peace. They accept disrespect. They ignore unhealthy patterns. They remain in situations that undermine their well-being. When personal value increases, standards improve. You begin recognizing that your time matters, your energy matters, your emotional health matters, your future matters. This awareness changes decisions. You become more selective about where you invest attention. You become more intentional about who influences your life. You become more protective of your goals and values. Another important truth is that self-love requires presence. Many people spend their lives postponing happiness. They tell themselves they will feel worthy after reaching a goal. They will appreciate themselves after earning more money. They will accept themselves after achieving a certain level of success. This creates a moving target that is never fully reached. There is always another goal, another challenge, another milestone. A healthier approach involves appreciating who you are while continuing to grow. Growth and acceptance can exist together. You do not need to hate yourself into becoming better. You do not need to criticize yourself into achieving more. You can pursue excellence while maintaining self-respect. In fact, personal development becomes more sustainable when it is driven by care rather than self-rejection. People often achieve more when they believe they are worth investing in. The way you care for your body also reflects self-love. Rest matters. Nutrition matters. Movement matters. Recovery matters. Many people treat their physical well-being as an afterthought while expecting optimal performance. A healthy relationship with yourself recognizes that energy must be maintained. The body supports every goal, every dream, and every responsibility. Taking care of it is not vanity, it is wisdom. Self-love also involves protecting your mind from unnecessary negativity. Pay attention to what you repeatedly consume. Notice which conversations leave you energized and which leave you drained. Notice which environments encourage growth and which encourage stagnation. Your mental landscape influences your emotional experience. Protecting that landscape is an act of respect toward yourself. As self-love deepens, something remarkable begins to happen. External validation becomes less necessary. Praise remains enjoyable, but it no longer determines self-worth. Criticism becomes easier to evaluate objectively. You become less controlled by the opinions of others. This freedom allows greater authenticity. You begin making decisions based on values rather than approval. You begin pursuing goals because they matter to you. You begin living with greater integrity. The Stoics often emphasize that true strength comes from mastering what lies within your control. Self-love aligns with this principle. It directs attention inward rather than constantly seeking external confirmation. It encourages responsibility rather than dependence. It strengthens character rather than ego. A person who values themselves approaches life differently. They invest in learning, they take care of their health, they honor commitments, they pursue meaningful goals, they recover more effectively from setbacks. They understand that personal growth is not a reward earned after becoming worthy. It is an expression of worthiness itself. Every positive choice becomes a statement. Every healthy boundary becomes a statement. Every act of self-respect becomes a statement. The statement is simple: I matter enough to care for my future. This belief transforms behavior, and behavior transforms outcomes. The journey toward self-love is not about becoming perfect. It is about building a healthier relationship with yourself. It is about replacing unnecessary criticism with understanding. It is about replacing neglect with care. It is about replacing doubt with appreciation. The more consistently you practice these habits, the more your personal value rises in your own eyes. That change affects every area of life. You communicate differently. You make decisions differently. You approach opportunities differently. You carry yourself differently. Not because you have become someone else, but because you have finally begun treating yourself with the respect you deserved all along. When self-love becomes part of your daily life, you stop chasing worth. You stop searching for proof that you matter. You stop relying on the world to tell you who you are. Instead, you build a quiet certainty from within. And that certainty becomes one of the most powerful foundations upon which a meaningful, successful, and fulfilling life can be built. Chapter 6. Replace fear with trust and purposeful daily movement. Fear has stopped more dreams than lack of talent, lack of opportunity, or lack of resources ever could. It quietly enters the mind and begins asking questions that create hesitation. What if it does not work? What if people judge me? What if I fail? What if I make the wrong decision? What if I am not ready? These questions seem harmless at first, yet when repeated often enough, they can influence an entire life. A person who constantly listens to fear may remain in situations that no longer serve them. They may postpone important goals. They may avoid meaningful opportunities. They may spend years preparing for a future they never fully enter. Fear is not always loud. Sometimes it appears as procrastination. Sometimes it appears as overthinking. Sometimes it appears as perfectionism. Sometimes it disguises itself as caution. The challenge is that fear often promises safety while quietly stealing growth. Many people assume the goal is to eliminate fear completely. They believe courage means feeling no uncertainty. This misunderstanding creates frustration because fear is a natural human experience. Every person encounters it. Every person faces moments of doubt. Every person experiences situations where the outcome is unknown. The objective is not to remove fear from life. The objective is to stop allowing fear to make decisions. A meaningful life is built when trust becomes stronger than fear. Trust is often misunderstood as well. Some people think trust means believing everything will always go according to plan. Real trust is different. Trust means believing in your ability to respond regardless of what happens. It means understanding that challenges can be managed. It means recognizing that setbacks can be survived. It means accepting uncertainty without becoming controlled by it. Trust provides stability when answers are unavailable. Fear focuses attention on what could go wrong. Trust focuses attention on what can be done right now. This distinction changes everything. Many people spend enormous amounts of energy worrying about events that never occur. They mentally rehearse disasters. They create negative scenarios. They imagine problems that may never exist. Meanwhile, life continues moving forward. Days pass, weeks pass, months pass. Opportunities appear and disappear. The future remains uncertain whether they worry or not. The Stoics understood this principle deeply. They believed that much suffering comes from attempting to control what cannot be controlled. The weather cannot be controlled. The opinions of others cannot be controlled. Unexpected events cannot be controlled. The past cannot be controlled. Yet many people devote significant emotional energy to these areas. As a result, they neglect the things that actually deserve their attention: their choices, their actions, their character, their effort, their responses. Trust begins growing when attention returns to these controllable areas. Ask yourself a simple question whenever fear appears. What can I do right now? Not tomorrow, not next month, not when conditions become perfect. What action is available in this moment? This question shifts focus from imagined problems to practical movement. Purposeful daily movement is one of the most effective ways to weaken fear. Fear grows strongest during inactivity. When people remain still, uncertainty often expands. The mind fills empty space with speculation. Possibilities become exaggerated. Challenges seem larger than they truly are. Action changes this dynamic. A single step creates momentum. Momentum creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. Imagine standing at the base of a mountain path early in the morning. The entire journey may seem overwhelming if you focus only on the distance ahead. Yet once you begin walking, your attention naturally shifts toward the next step. Life works similarly. Large goals become manageable when divided into daily actions. Fear often wants answers for the entire journey. Growth usually requires focus on the next step. Many people remain trapped because they seek complete certainty before acting. They want guarantees. They want proof. They want assurance that every effort will succeed. Unfortunately, life rarely offers such promises. Waiting for certainty can become a lifelong delay. Trust allows movement even when complete information is unavailable. Every successful person has acted without knowing exactly how things would unfold. Every meaningful achievement has required some level of risk. Every significant decision has involved uncertainty. The difference is not that successful people never felt fear. The difference is that they refuse to give fear permanent authority. Another important truth is that fear frequently exaggerates consequences. The mind often treats temporary discomfort as if it were permanent danger. A difficult conversation feels threatening. Trying something new feels threatening. Making a change feels threatening. Speaking up feels threatening. Yet many of these situations contain growth rather than actual danger. The brain sometimes struggles to distinguish between physical threats and emotional discomfort. As a result, people avoid experiences that could improve their lives. Learning to recognize this pattern creates freedom. The next time fear appears, ask yourself whether the situation is truly dangerous or simply uncomfortable. There is an important difference. Growth frequently requires discomfort. Personal development often demands temporary inconvenience. Improvement usually involves effort. Avoiding every uncomfortable experience limits potential. Trust yourself enough to step into challenges that support your growth. Another practical strategy involves reducing the size of intimidating goals. Fear often becomes overwhelming when a task appears enormous. A person wants to write a book. A person wants to start a business. A person wants to improve their health. A person wants to change careers. The size of the goal creates pressure. The mind begins imagining every obstacle at once. Progress becomes easier when attention narrows. Focus on one page. Focus on one application. Focus on one conversation. Purposeful movement is built through manageable actions repeated consistently. Small actions may seem insignificant in the moment. Over time they become powerful. A river shapes landscapes, not through a single surge, but through continuous movement. Human progress follows a similar principle. Consistency creates results that occasional bursts of effort cannot match. Trust also grows through experience. Every challenge you overcome becomes evidence. Every obstacle navigated successfully becomes proof. Every difficult season survived becomes a reminder of your resilience. Many people underestimate how much strength they have already demonstrated. Think about the difficulties you have faced throughout life. Consider the disappointments. Consider the setbacks. Consider the moments when the future seemed uncertain. You are still here. You adapted. You learned. You continued moving forward. This history matters. It provides evidence that you are more capable than fear often suggests. Another area where trust becomes essential is decision-making. Many individuals become trapped by the fear of making mistakes. They analyze endlessly. They seek perfect answers. They postpone choices. The desire to avoid error creates paralysis. No decision comes with complete certainty. Every path contains unknowns. Trust allows a person to make thoughtful choices, while accepting that adjustments may be necessary along the way. Perfection is not required. Responsibility is required. Growth is required. Learning is required. When decisions are viewed through this lens, fear loses some of its influence. Mistakes become lessons rather than disasters. Change becomes manageable rather than terrifying. Life becomes a process of refinement rather than a test requiring flawless performance. Purposeful daily movement also strengthens emotional resilience. Each completed action sends a message to the mind. It says progress is occurring. It says effort matters. It says forward movement is possible. This message becomes especially important during difficult periods. There will be days when motivation feels absent. There will be days when enthusiasm fades. There will be days when results seem slow. Purposeful movement remains valuable during these moments. In fact, these moments often matter most. Anyone can take action when inspiration is high. Character is revealed through action when inspiration is low. Daily movement teaches discipline. Discipline creates reliability. Reliability builds trust. Trust strengthens confidence. These qualities reinforce one another. Another powerful practice is learning to celebrate progress rather than waiting for perfection. Many people ignore growth because they remain focused on the final destination. They overlook improvements. They dismiss small victories. They fail to acknowledge effort. This habit weakens motivation. Progress deserves recognition. Every positive step matters. Every lesson matters. Every improvement matters. Appreciating growth does not mean becoming satisfied with mediocrity. It means recognizing that meaningful transformation occurs gradually. The person you become is shaped by daily choices more than occasional breakthroughs. Fear often whispers that you are not ready. Trust reminds you that readiness grows through participation. Fear says wait. Trust says begin. Fear says avoid risk. Trust says learn through experience. Fear says stay where you are. Trust says continue growing. As life unfolds, there will always be reasons to hesitate. There will always be uncertainties. There will always be variables outside your control. Waiting for perfect conditions is rarely productive. Growth belongs to those who move forward despite imperfections. Trust does not require certainty about tomorrow. It requires commitment to today's responsibilities. Purposeful movement does not require giant leaps. It requires consistent steps. When trust and action work together, fear gradually loses its dominance. Its voice becomes quieter. Its influence becomes weaker. Its ability to control decisions begins fading. What emerges in its place is a deeper sense of stability. You stop measuring life by the absence of fear. You begin measuring life by your willingness to act with courage. You learn that strength is not found in waiting until fear disappears. Strength is found in continuing forward while fear sits in the passenger seat instead of holding the steering wheel. The future belongs to those who keep moving, not recklessly, not blindly, but purposefully, one day at a time, one decision at a time, one action at a time. And with every step, trust becomes stronger, direction becomes clearer, and the life you want moves closer because you chose movement over hesitation and growth over fear. Chapter 7. Align your habits with the life you desire. Every person has dreams about the future. Some imagine a healthier body. Some want stronger relationships. Others desire financial stability, personal freedom, inner peace, or meaningful success. These visions can be inspiring because they provide direction. They give people something to work toward. Yet many individuals become frustrated because the life they desire and the life they are currently creating do not match. The reason is often simpler than they realize. Goals determine direction, but habits determine progress. What you repeatedly do each day eventually shapes your future. The quality of your habits influences your health, mindset, productivity, relationships, finances, and overall sense of fulfillment. A person may have wonderful intentions, but intentions alone cannot create lasting change. Results emerge from behavior repeated consistently over time. This truth can feel uncomfortable because it places responsibility directly into your hands. At the same time, it is incredibly empowering because it means transformation is possible. If habits helped create your current circumstances, new habits can help create different circumstances. Many people focus almost entirely on outcomes. They think about losing weight. They think about earning more money. They think about becoming confident. They think about improving their lives. These outcomes matter, but they are not where change begins. Change begins with daily actions. Imagine a person who wants excellent physical health but regularly neglects sleep, avoids movement, and ignores nutrition. Their desire and their habits are moving in opposite directions. Consider someone who wants financial freedom yet consistently spends without planning and avoids learning valuable skills. Again, desire and behavior are disconnected. Think about a person who wants deeper relationships but rarely communicates honestly, listens carefully, or invests time in the people they care about. The outcome they seek cannot grow from the habits they practice. This is why alignment matters. The life you want and the habits you maintain must support one another. Every habit casts a vote for the person you are becoming. Some votes strengthen growth. Some votes strengthen stagnation. The future is shaped by whichever set of votes receives the most consistency. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming major transformation requires major action. This belief often creates overwhelm. They design complicated routines. They attempt dramatic lifestyle changes. They try to improve everything at once. A few days later, exhaustion appears and the plan collapses. Sustainable growth rarely begins with extreme action. It begins with manageable action. Small habits are powerful because they are repeatable. Reading 10 pages each day may not seem extraordinary. Saving a small amount of money regularly may seem insignificant. Walking for 20 minutes may appear too simple. Practicing gratitude for a few minutes may feel minor. Yet consistency turns small actions into meaningful outcomes. The person who improves slightly each day eventually creates a noticeable difference in their life. The person who waits for perfect motivation often remains stuck. One reason habits are so influential is because they operate automatically. At first, behavior requires conscious effort. Over time, repetition creates familiarity. What once demanded discipline gradually becomes normal. This process works in both positive and negative directions. Helpful habits become easier through repetition. Unhelpful habits also become easier through repetition. This is why awareness is essential. Take an honest look at your daily routines. Examine how you spend your mornings. Notice how you use your free time. Observe your reactions to stress. Pay attention to what receives your energy. Your habits reveal priorities more accurately than your intentions. Many people claim they value growth while spending most of their time distracted. Many claim health is important while consistently neglecting their well-being. Many desire peace while continually feeding anxiety through unnecessary worry and constant mental stimulation. Awareness creates the opportunity for change. Without awareness, habits continue operating in the background. Another important lesson involves understanding the relationship between environment and behavior. People often rely entirely on willpower when attempting change. While willpower has value, it is not unlimited. Your environment significantly influences your actions. A person who keeps unhealthy food within easy reach will face more temptation. A person surrounded by distractions will find concentration more difficult. A person who spends time with negative influences may struggle to maintain a positive mindset. Wise individuals design environments that support their goals. They make beneficial choices easier. They reduce unnecessary obstacles. They create conditions that encourage success. This approach is practical rather than emotional. Instead of constantly fighting temptation, they remove unnecessary temptation. Instead of depending entirely on motivation, they create supportive systems. Another powerful concept involves linking habits to identity. Many people focus exclusively on what they want to achieve. A more effective question is who they want to become. Difference. A person says, I want to write a book. Another says, I am becoming a writer. A person says, I want to get fit. Another says, I am becoming someone who values health. A person says, I want financial stability. Another says, I am becoming financially responsible. Identity influences behavior. People naturally act in ways that support how they see themselves. The stronger the identity becomes, the easier consistent action feels. This is why habits should reinforce the person you wish to become. Each action becomes evidence supporting a new identity. Every workout strengthens the identity of someone who prioritizes health. Every study session strengthens the identity of someone committed to learning. Every responsible financial decision strengthens the identity of someone creating stability. The process may seem gradual, but gradual progress is still progress. Patience is one of the most overlooked ingredients in personal growth. Modern culture often encourages immediate results. People want rapid transformation, they want instant success, they want visible rewards right away. Unfortunately, meaningful development rarely follows that timeline. Most valuable achievements require time. Strong relationships require time. Physical fitness requires time. Career growth requires time. Emotional maturity requires time. Financial improvement requires time. Habits become powerful because they continue producing benefits long after the initial effort. A farmer does not plant seeds and expect to harvest the following morning. Growth follows a process. Human development follows the same principle. Consistent effort eventually produces visible results. Another challenge many people face is allowing temporary emotions to control permanent goals. Everyone experiences days when motivation is low. Everyone experiences moments of frustration. Everyone experiences periods when progress feels slower than expected. The question is not whether these moments will occur. The question is how you will respond when they do. Successful individuals understand that habits matter most when enthusiasm fades. A person who acts only when inspired creates inconsistent results. A person who acts according to commitment creates momentum. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect expressed through action. It is choosing long-term benefit over short-term comfort. It is honoring future goals through present decisions. Another important aspect of habit alignment involves protecting your time. Time is one of the few resources that cannot be replaced. Once spent, it cannot be recovered. Yet many people treat time carelessly. They give attention to activities that contribute little value. They spend hours consuming information without applying it. They delay important work while focusing on distractions. A meaningful life requires intentional use of time. This does not mean every moment must be productive. Rest has value, recreation has value, recovery has value. The key is ensuring your daily choices support the future you want to create. Ask yourself a simple question throughout the day. Does this action move me closer to the life I want or further away from it? This question creates clarity. It encourages responsibility. It helps identify habits that deserve reinforcement and habits that deserve replacement. Relationships are also influenced by habit alignment. Trust is built through repeated behavior. Respect is built through repeated behavior. Connection is built through repeated behavior. A strong relationship is rarely created through a single grand gesture. It is often created through small, consistent actions. Listening carefully, keeping promises, showing appreciation, being present, offering support. These habits strengthen relationships over time. The same principle applies to self-respect. How you treat yourself repeatedly becomes your standard. If you consistently neglect your needs, self-respect weakens. If you consistently honor your commitments, self-respect grows. The quality of your habits influences the quality of your relationship with yourself. Many people underestimate how much confidence is connected to daily behavior. Confidence is not merely a feeling, it is often the result of evidence. When you repeatedly demonstrate responsibility, discipline, and follow-through, you create evidence that you can trust yourself. That trust strengthens confidence. Confidence strengthens action. Action strengthens results. The cycle continues. As your habits become more aligned with your goals, something remarkable begins to happen. Decision-making becomes easier. Internal conflict decreases. Progress feels more natural. You spend less energy wishing for change and more energy creating it. The gap between intention and behavior begins to shrink. This alignment creates momentum. Momentum creates possibility. Possibility creates hope. The future starts looking different because your daily actions are different. The life you desire is not created by occasional bursts of effort. It is created by the choices you repeat when nobody is watching. It is created by what you do on ordinary days. It is created by routines that seem small but accumulate over time. Every habit either supports the future you want or strengthens the future you are trying to leave behind. Each day offers another opportunity to choose, another opportunity to improve, another opportunity to move in the direction of your highest values. You do not need to transform everything immediately. You only need to begin aligning your actions with your vision, one choice at a time, one habit at a time, one day at a time. As those choices accumulate, the person you wish to become slowly transforms from an idea into a reality. And eventually, the life you once imagined becomes the life you are actually living, because your habits finally matched your intentions. Chapter 8. Focus your energy on growth instead of doubt. Every person is given a limited amount of energy each day. This energy is valuable because it influences where attention goes, what actions are taken, and how challenges are handled. Yet many people spend a large portion of this precious resource feeding doubt instead of growth. They replay worries that have not happened. They question their abilities without evidence. They imagine failure before making an attempt. They become trapped in cycles of hesitation that consume time without producing progress. The tragedy of doubt is not that it exists. Every human being experiences uncertainty. The real problem appears when doubt becomes a permanent place of residence rather than a temporary visitor. When doubt controls attention, opportunities often pass unnoticed. When doubt controls decisions, potential remains undeveloped. When doubt controls behavior, growth slows dramatically. Life begins changing when energy is redirected away from constant questioning and toward meaningful improvement. Many people believe that successful individuals never struggle with uncertainty. This assumption creates unnecessary discouragement. In reality, even highly accomplished people experience moments of hesitation. The difference is not the absence of doubt. The difference is where attention remains focused. Some people spend most of their energy examining reasons why something may not work. Others spend their energy exploring ways to improve. One approach creates paralysis, the other creates momentum. Imagine two gardeners working with similar pieces of land. One spends every day talking about weeds. The other spends every day planting seeds and caring for growth. Months later, their results look very different. Attention influences outcomes. Whatever consistently receives care tends to expand. The same principle applies within the mind. If attention constantly nourishes fear, criticism, and uncertainty, those mental patterns become stronger. If attention regularly supports learning, effort, and development, those qualities become stronger. This process does not happen overnight. It happens gradually through repeated choices. Many people underestimate the influence of daily thinking because the effects are not immediately visible. A single doubtful thought may seem harmless. A single negative assumption may seem insignificant. Yet repeated consistently, these patterns shape perception. Eventually they influence behavior. Behavior influences results. Results reinforce beliefs. The cycle continues. Breaking this cycle begins with awareness. Pay attention to how often your mind focuses on what could go wrong. Notice how frequently you imagine problems before they exist. Observe whether you spend more time analyzing risks than developing solutions. Awareness is important because change cannot occur in areas that remain unnoticed. Once doubt becomes visible, a new choice becomes available. You can choose where your attention goes next. Growth-focused individuals ask different questions than doubt-focused individuals. A person trapped in uncertainty often asks questions that reinforce limitation. What if I fail? What if I am not good enough? What if people criticize me? What if this does not work? These questions encourage the mind to search for evidence supporting fear. The answers usually create more hesitation. A growth-focused person asks questions that encourage action. What skill can I develop? What lesson can I learn? What step can I take today? How can I improve this situation? These questions direct attention toward progress. The quality of your questions influences the quality of your focus. The quality of your focus influences the quality of your life. One reason doubt becomes so powerful is because it often presents itself as protection. It claims to be keeping you safe. It encourages caution. It urges you to avoid risk. Sometimes caution is useful. Thoughtful decision-making matters. However, excessive doubt frequently prevents experiences that could lead to growth. Many opportunities arrive disguised as uncertainty. A new career path involves uncertainty. Learning a skill involves uncertainty. Building meaningful relationships involves uncertainty. Starting a project involves uncertainty. Speaking up about important ideas involves uncertainty. If a person waits until uncertainty disappears, they may spend years standing still. Growth requires engagement with life. Progress requires participation. The future is shaped by action rather than endless analysis. Another important lesson is that growth rarely feels comfortable in the beginning. Many people expect improvement to feel inspiring every day. When discomfort appears, they assume something is wrong. In reality, discomfort often accompanies development. The beginner feels uncomfortable while learning. The athlete feels uncomfortable while training. The entrepreneur feels uncomfortable while taking risks. The leader feels uncomfortable while accepting responsibility. Discomfort is not always a sign to stop. Sometimes it is evidence that expansion is occurring. A person focused on growth learns to interpret discomfort differently. Instead of viewing it as proof of inadequacy, they view it as part of the learning process. This perspective creates resilience. Resilience becomes increasingly valuable because life continually presents new challenges. Another common trap involves comparing your progress to someone else's achievements. Comparison directs attention away from development and toward insecurity. A person may spend years building skills, improving habits, and making steady progress, yet feel discouraged because they are measuring themselves against someone else's outcome. This habit creates unnecessary dissatisfaction. Growth is personal. Every individual starts from a different position. Every individual faces unique circumstances. Every individual follows a different timeline. The most useful comparison is between who you are today and who you were yesterday. Improvement becomes easier to recognize when attention remains focused on personal development rather than external competition. Growth also requires a willingness to become a student. Some people allow pride to prevent learning. They become defensive when receiving feedback. They resist new perspectives. They avoid situations where they might appear inexperienced. This attitude limits progress. A growth-oriented mindset embraces learning. It understands that knowledge can be expanded, skills can be developed, weaknesses can be improved, mistakes can provide valuable information. The willingness to learn creates opportunities that doubt often overlooks. Consider how many abilities you possess today that once seemed difficult. At some point, reading was difficult, communication was difficult. Many everyday tasks required effort and practice. Growth occurred because you continued learning. The same principle remains true throughout life. The capacity for development does not disappear with age. Learning remains available to anyone willing to pursue it. Another practical strategy involves paying attention to where your energy goes throughout the day. Many people unknowingly invest enormous emotional energy in matters outside their control. They worry about opinions they cannot manage. They obsess over outcomes they cannot guarantee. They replay past events they cannot change. This habit creates exhaustion. Energy becomes more productive when directed toward controllable areas. Your effort can be controlled. Your preparation can be controlled. Your attitude can be influenced. Your habits can be improved. Your responses can be chosen. When attention focuses on these areas, growth becomes more likely. The Stoics taught that peace often comes from distinguishing between what is within our influence and what is beyond it. This principle remains useful because it prevents wasted energy. Instead of fighting reality, you focus on effective action. Instead of resisting circumstances, you strengthen character. Instead of complaining endlessly, you seek improvement. Growth becomes possible when responsibility replaces helplessness. Another overlooked aspect of development involves protecting your mental environment. The information you consume affects your thinking. The conversations you participate in affect your thinking. The people you spend time with affect your thinking. A person surrounded by constant negativity may struggle to maintain a constructive perspective. This does not mean avoiding reality. It means being intentional about influences. Choose environments that encourage learning. Choose relationships that support accountability. Choose information that expands understanding. The mind grows in response to repeated exposure. Protecting your attention is an investment in your future. Growth-focused living also requires patience. Many people quit because they expect immediate transformation. They work hard for a short period and become discouraged when results appear slowly. This expectation creates frustration. Meaningful progress often develops beneath the surface before becoming visible. Skills improve gradually. Character develops gradually. Confidence strengthens gradually. Wisdom accumulates gradually. The person who remains committed during slow periods gains advantages that impatient people never experience. Trust the process of consistent effort. Trust the value of repetition. Trust the benefits of learning. Trust the impact of small improvements. A single day may not create dramatic change. Months of focused effort often create remarkable change. One of the most powerful shifts a person can make is moving from outcome obsession to growth. Commitment. Outcome obsession creates emotional instability. When results appear, motivations rise. When results slow down, motivation disappears. Growth commitment creates stability. The focus remains on improvement regardless of temporary outcomes. Learning continues. Effort continues. Development continues. This mindset creates long-term resilience because success is measured by progress rather than perfection. As you continue moving through life, doubt will occasionally return. Questions will arise. Challenges will appear. Uncertainty will remain part of the human experience. The goal is not to eliminate every moment of hesitation. The goal is to prevent hesitation from controlling your future. Growth deserves more attention than fear. Learning deserves more attention than limitation. Possibility deserves more attention than pessimism. The energy you invest each day is shaping your future whether you realize it or not. Direct that energy toward becoming stronger. Direct it toward becoming wiser. Direct it toward becoming more disciplined. Direct it toward becoming more capable. Every moment spent learning creates value. Every effort made toward improvement creates momentum. Every lesson gained from experience creates strength. When growth becomes your primary focus, life begins changing in meaningful ways. You become less distracted by imagined obstacles. You become more interested in solutions. You become more willing to take responsibility. You become more prepared to adapt. Most importantly, you stop allowing doubt to determine what is possible. Instead, you allow growth to reveal what is possible. And that shift can transform not only your actions but the entire direction of your life. Chapter 9. Expect abundance and welcome new opportunities confidently. Many people move through life expecting disappointment. They prepare themselves for rejection before opportunities appear. They assume good things happen to others but not to them. They lower their expectations, hide their ambitions, and convince themselves that wanting more is unrealistic. Over time, this mindset becomes a silent barrier that limits what they pursue, what they notice, and what they allow themselves to receive. The truth is that expectations influence behavior far more than most people realize. When a person expects very little from life, they often stop looking for possibilities. They hesitate to apply for opportunities. They avoid introducing themselves to new people. They ignore chances to learn, grow, and expand, not because they lack ability, but because they have already decided the outcome before taking action. A person who expects positive possibilities approaches life differently. They remain open, they remain curious, they remain willing to participate. This does not mean they expect perfection. It does not mean they believe every plan will succeed. It simply means they refuse to assume defeat before the journey begins. Abundance starts with understanding that life contains more possibilities than fear often allows you to see. Many people hear the word abundance and immediately think about money. Financial improvement is certainly one part of abundance, but true abundance extends much further. Abundance includes meaningful relationships. Abundance includes opportunities to learn. Abundance includes good health. Abundance includes emotional peace. Abundance includes valuable experiences. Abundance includes personal growth. Abundance includes the ability to contribute something meaningful to the lives of others. A person can possess wealth and still feel empty. A person can possess modest resources and still experience deep fulfillment. True abundance begins internally before it becomes visible externally. One reason people struggle to welcome abundance is because they focus excessively on scarcity. Scarcity thinking constantly emphasizes what is missing. It notices limitations before possibilities. It notices obstacles before solutions. It notices competition before opportunity. This mindset creates a narrow view of reality. The world becomes smaller. Choices appear limited. Potential becomes difficult to recognize. A person operating from scarcity often believes there is never enough. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough opportunity, not enough support, not enough ability. These beliefs shape behavior. People become hesitant. They become protective. They become fearful of taking necessary risks. Abundance thinking creates a different perspective. It recognizes that opportunities often expand when skills expand. It recognizes that relationships improve when value is offered. It recognizes that growth creates new possibilities. It understands that life is not always a fixed pie, where one person's success reduces another person's chances. This perspective encourages participation rather than withdrawal. One of the most important shifts a person can make is learning to view opportunities differently. Many people imagine opportunities arriving in dramatic forms. They expect life-changing moments to appear clearly and immediately. In reality, opportunities often arrive quietly. Sometimes they appear as a conversation. Sometimes they appear as a challenge. Sometimes they appear as a new responsibility. Sometimes they appear as a difficult lesson. Sometimes they appear as an unexpected change. The problem is that opportunities rarely announce themselves. A person trapped in fear may overlook them completely. A person prepared for growth often recognizes their value. This is why openness matters. Openness creates awareness. Awareness creates possibility. Possibility creates movement. Movement creates results. Another important truth is that abundance requires participation. Many people hope for change while remaining passive. They wait, they wish, they dream, yet they fail to engage fully with life. Opportunities rarely create value without action. A job opportunity still requires effort. A business opportunity still requires commitment. A relationship opportunity still requires communication. A learning opportunity still requires study. Abundance grows when preparation meets opportunity. Preparation is your responsibility. Opportunity often arrives unexpectedly. The more prepared you become, the more opportunities you can recognize and utilize. Confidence plays a critical role in this process. Many individuals miss opportunities because they underestimate themselves. They assume they are not ready. They assume someone else is more qualified. They assume success belongs to people who possess something they lack. These assumptions create unnecessary limitations. The reality is that many successful people began before they felt fully prepared. They learned while moving forward. They improved through experience. They developed skills through participation. Confidence does not always appear before opportunity. Sometimes confidence grows because opportunity is accepted. A person discovers their capabilities by using them. Another barrier to abundance involves attachment to the past. Many individuals continue defining themselves by previous failures. A rejected application becomes a permanent identity. A business setback becomes evidence that future success is impossible. A difficult relationship becomes proof that meaningful connection cannot happen. These conclusions limit future possibilities. The past contains lessons. It should not contain permanent sentences. Every new day provides opportunities that did not exist yesterday. Every new season brings circumstances that are different from before. Every new experience has the potential to create new outcomes. The person who remains emotionally trapped in old disappointments often struggles to recognize present possibilities. Releasing the past creates space for new opportunities. Gratitude also plays a significant role in developing an abundant mindset. Many people believe gratitude means becoming satisfied with current circumstances and abandoning ambition. This misunderstanding prevents them from appreciating its value. Gratitude and ambition can exist together. A person can appreciate today's blessings while working toward tomorrow's goals. Gratitude changes attention. Instead of focusing exclusively on what is absent, it encourages recognition of what is already present. This creates emotional stability. A stable mind makes better decisions. A stable mind notices opportunities more clearly. A stable mind remains resilient during difficult periods. Gratitude strengthens abundance because it teaches the mind to recognize value. The more value you recognize, the more possibilities you begin to notice. Another important principle involves generosity. People operating from scarcity often cling tightly to everything. They fear giving because they believe resources are limited. People operating from abundance understand something different. They recognize that value grows through contribution. Helping others often strengthens relationships. Sharing knowledge often creates influence. Offering encouragement often builds connection. Supporting growth often creates mutual benefit. Generosity does not guarantee immediate rewards. However, it creates an environment where positive relationships and opportunities are more likely to develop. Life frequently responds to contribution. Another way to welcome abundance is by expanding your willingness to learn. The modern world changes rapidly. New skills create new possibilities. New knowledge creates new opportunities. A person committed to learning remains adaptable. Adaptability increases value. Increased value often creates additional opportunities. Many people focus exclusively on what they hope to receive. Successful individuals often focus first on what they can become. When you become more capable, more disciplined, more knowledgeable, and more effective, opportunities naturally increase. Growth attracts possibilities because growth increases readiness. Abundance is often connected to preparation in ways many people overlook. Another important lesson is that abundance requires patience. Many individuals become discouraged because results do not appear immediately. They expect rapid transformation. They expect instant rewards. When progress feels slow, they assume nothing is happening. This assumption causes many people to quit too soon. Nature teaches a different lesson. Growth follows a process. Seeds require time. Relationships require time. Trust requires time. Meaningful success often develops gradually before becoming visible. Patience allows you to remain committed long enough to experience the benefits of consistent effort. Patience does not mean inactivity. Patience means continuing to move forward without demanding immediate results. Welcoming opportunities confidently also requires flexibility. Life rarely follows exact plans. Unexpected changes occur. New information appears. Circumstances evolve. A rigid mindset struggles with these realities. A flexible mindset adapts. Adaptability allows people to recognize opportunities hidden within unexpected situations. Some of life's most valuable experiences begin in ways that were never anticipated. The ability to adjust creates advantages that fear often prevents. Another powerful practice involves speaking about your future differently. Many people unconsciously reinforce limitation through language. They repeatedly discuss why things cannot improve. They explain why success is unlikely. They emphasize barriers more than possibilities. Language influences thinking. Thinking influences action. Action influences outcomes. Speak about your future with responsibility and optimism. Acknowledge challenges honestly. At the same time, acknowledge potential. Recognize obstacles. Also recognize opportunities. Balanced thinking creates confidence. Confidence encourages action. Action creates results. As you continue this journey, remember that abundance is not about wishing for a perfect life. It is about approaching life with openness, gratitude, preparation, and willingness. It is about recognizing possibilities that fear often overlooks. It is about participating fully rather than standing on the sidelines. It is about believing that growth can create opportunities that do not exist today. The future remains unwritten. New relationships can form. New skills can be learned. New doors can open. New experiences can transform your perspective. New opportunities can appear when you least expect them. Expecting abundance does not mean assuming life will always be easy. It means refusing to assume that limitations are permanent. It means remaining receptive to possibility. It means trusting that effort, learning, persistence, and openness can create outcomes beyond what you currently see. When you approach life with this mindset, something important begins to change. You notice possibilities more often. You become more willing to act. You become more prepared to grow. You become more capable of recognizing value where others see obstacles. Opportunities begin appearing because your attention is no longer trapped by fear. Your confidence begins expanding because your focus is no longer dominated by limitation. You stop waiting for life to improve on its own. You become an active participant in creating a better future. And as that process continues, abundance becomes less about what you receive and more about the person you become. Someone who is prepared, open, grateful, capable, and ready to welcome the opportunities that life places along the path ahead. Chapter 10. Commit to daily transformation and let success follow. At the beginning of every year, every month, every week, and sometimes every single day, countless people make promises to themselves. They promise to become healthier. They promise to improve their finances. They promise to strengthen their relationships. They promise to pursue their dreams. For a brief moment, they feel inspired. They feel excited about the future. They imagine the person they want to become and the life they hope to create. Yet for many people, that excitement fades faster than expected. The challenge is not a lack of desire. Most people genuinely want better lives. The challenge is maintaining commitment after the initial emotion disappears. This is where transformation separates itself from temporary motivation. Motivation is powerful, but it is often unpredictable. Some mornings it appears naturally. Other mornings it seems completely absent. If personal growth depends entirely on motivation, progress becomes inconsistent. Transformation requires something stronger. It requires commitment. Commitment means continuing the journey regardless of temporary emotions. It means remaining faithful to your values when excitement fades. It means showing up even when results are not immediately visible. Many people imagine success as a single event. They picture a promotion. They picture a financial breakthrough. They picture recognition. They picture reaching a major goal. While these moments can be meaningful, success is rarely created in a single day. Most achievements are built quietly. They are constructed through choices repeated over long periods of time. A strong building does not appear because someone wished for it. It appears because someone laid one brick after another until the structure was complete. Personal transformation follows a similar pattern. Every day offers an opportunity to place another brick. Every decision matters. Every action matters. Every response matters. Every habit matters. The person you become is shaped less by dramatic moments and more by ordinary moments repeated consistently. This truth is liberating because it means you do not need a perfect beginning. You do not need extraordinary talent. You do not need ideal circumstances. You simply need the willingness to improve a little each day. Many people underestimate the power of small improvements because they focus exclusively on immediate results. They want visible change quickly. When progress appears slow, discouragement arrives. This mindset causes many people to abandon worthwhile goals before meaningful results have time to develop. Imagine planting a seed and digging it up every few days to check whether it is growing. Growth would never have the chance to occur properly. The same principle applies to personal development. Certain changes happen beneath the surface before becoming visible. Discipline develops before achievement appears. Knowledge accumulates before expertise appears. Character strengthens before major opportunities appear. Patience becomes essential because transformation often begins invisibly. One important realization is that daily transformation does not require perfection. Many people sabotage progress because they believe every day must be flawless. If they miss a workout, they become discouraged. If they make a mistake, they become discouraged. If they fall short of a goal, they become discouraged. This all-or-nothing mindset creates unnecessary suffering. Growth is rarely a straight line. Every person experiences setbacks. Every person experiences difficult periods. Every person experiences moments of frustration. What matters most is the decision to continue. One imperfect day does not erase progress. One mistake does not cancel improvement. One challenge does not define the future. Consistency is not about perfection. It is about returning to your path whenever you drift away from it. This mindset creates resilience. Resilience becomes increasingly important because life constantly changes. Circumstances evolve, responsibilities increase, unexpected events occur, plans require adjustment. A person committed to transformation understands that flexibility is necessary. The destination remains important, but the route may change. Adaptability allows growth to continue even when conditions become difficult. Another essential lesson involves taking ownership of your life. Many people spend years waiting for external circumstances to improve before taking responsibility for their future. They wait for better timing. They wait for better conditions. They wait for more confidence. They wait for more support. Unfortunately, waiting often becomes a habit. Months become years, years become decades. Potential remains unused. Transformation begins when a person accepts responsibility for what they can control. Not everything is within your influence. However, many important things are: your attitude, your effort, your choices, your habits, your willingness to learn, your commitment to growth. These areas provide enormous power when approached intentionally. A person who takes responsibility stops asking why life is unfair and begins asking what can be done next. This shift creates momentum. Momentum creates movement. Movement creates change. Another important part of transformation involves maintaining perspective during difficult seasons. Many people assume progress should always feel exciting. When challenges appear, they believe something is wrong. In reality, difficulties often accompany growth. Learning a new skill requires effort. Building a meaningful career requires effort. Improving health requires effort. Strengthening relationships requires effort. Developing wisdom requires effort. Challenges are not signs that progress has stopped. Many times they are signs that progress is occurring. A person committed to daily transformation views obstacles differently. Instead of seeing barriers, they see opportunities to strengthen qualities such as patience, discipline, courage, and persistence. This perspective creates emotional stability. Emotional stability allows long-term commitment. Long-term commitment creates extraordinary outcomes. Another valuable principle involves protecting your focus. Modern life provides endless distractions. Attention is constantly being pulled in different directions. Many people spend significant amounts of time reacting rather than creating. They respond to notifications, they react to news, they react to opinions, they react to circumstances. As a result, little energy remains for intentional growth. Transformation requires deliberate focus. It requires deciding what truly matters. It requires choosing activities that support long-term goals. It requires saying no to distractions that offer temporary entertainment but little lasting value. Focus is one of the most valuable resources a person possesses. Focus goes, growth often follows. Daily transformation also requires self-reflection. Many individuals move through life without examining their actions. They repeat the same patterns year after year. Reflection creates awareness. Awareness creates choice. Choice creates change. Spend time evaluating your progress. Ask yourself important questions. What is working? What needs improvement? What lessons have been learned? Where can greater effort be applied? These questions encourage continuous growth. They prevent complacency. They keep development moving forward. One of the most powerful realizations a person can have is understanding that success is often a byproduct rather than a primary pursuit. Many people chase success directly. They become obsessed with outcomes. They focus constantly on rewards. This approach sometimes creates anxiety because outcomes cannot always be controlled. A more effective approach involves focusing on becoming the type of person capable of producing valuable results. Develop discipline. Develop integrity. Develop knowledge. Develop emotional strength. Develop reliability. Success often follows naturally when these qualities are consistently practiced. A healthy tree produces fruit because it is healthy. Likewise, a strong character often produces positive outcomes because it is strong. Another essential lesson involves understanding that growth never truly ends. Many people imagine a future moment when all challenges disappear. They imagine reaching a point where improvement is no longer necessary. Life rarely works this way. Every stage of life presents new opportunities for development. Every achievement creates new responsibilities. Every experience offers new lessons. This reality should not be discouraging. It should be inspiring. It means there is always room to become wiser, always room to become stronger, always room to become more effective, always room to contribute more value. The journey itself becomes meaningful. Transformation becomes a lifestyle rather than a temporary project. Another powerful aspect of daily transformation is recognizing the influence you have on others. Personal growth is not solely about individual benefit. The way you live affects people around you. Your discipline influences others. Your attitude influences others. Your kindness influences others. Your example influences others. When you commit to becoming better, you create positive ripple effects that extend beyond your own life. Family members notice, friends notice, colleagues notice. Sometimes people learn more from what you consistently do than from anything you say. This realization adds deeper meaning to personal growth. You are not only improving your own future, you are contributing to the environment around you. As the journey continues, there will be moments when progress feels slow. There will be moments when effort seems unnoticed. There will be moments when doubt attempts to return. These moments are part of the process. Continue anyway. Continue learning. Continue improving. Continue showing up. Continue honoring your commitments. The person who continues moving forward gains advantages that cannot be measured immediately. Strength accumulates. Wisdom accumulates. Experience accumulates. Character accumulates. Eventually, what once seemed impossible begins feeling achievable. What once felt difficult becomes familiar. What once required enormous effort becomes part of who you are. This is the power of daily transformation. Not dramatic overnight change. Not instant success. Not temporary excitement. Daily transformation is the quiet decision to improve again today. It is the choice to learn one more lesson. It is the choice to make one more constructive decision. It is the choice to act according to your values even when nobody is watching. Day after day, these choices create a foundation. That foundation supports confidence, it supports purpose, it supports achievement. Most importantly, it supports a life built intentionally rather than accidentally. Success is often viewed as something that must be chased endlessly. Yet many people discover a different truth. When character improves, opportunities increase. When discipline improves, results improve. When consistency improves, progress improves. When personal growth becomes a daily commitment, success frequently begins following naturally. Not because luck suddenly changes. Not because challenges disappear. But because you have become someone capable of creating different outcomes. The future is shaped by what you repeatedly do today. Commit to daily transformation. Protect that commitment. Honor that commitment. Live that commitment. And over time, you may look back and realize that the success you once searched for began appearing the moment you decided to become a little better every single day.